It's the end of Kirblog as we know it. And I feel like I'm really fucking tired because it's day 3 of Phantom A and I'm recording this late at night and I'm with Mike and Steve who are also dead fucking tired. So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. We saw X-Men Apocalypse a couple nights ago. This is going up on Tuesday. We saw it on Friday night. That was a absolutely amazing 2-hour episode of X-Men Evolution that I watched that night. I admit, as we left the theater, I felt a little embarrassed that I liked it because I was worried, like, wow, do I just have no taste? Am I insane? I don't know. But to start off with, if you guys had missed the X-Men movie Kirblog that I did with Matt and Pete that just went up a couple days ago, the things that we were talking about is that the general idea is that it is not the most philosophical, deep movie of the X-Men series, and it is absolutely not. I will admit that up front. And also, obviously, spoilers, if you're listening to this, I'm assuming you've already seen it. But, yeah, no, it is, I mean, there's certainly still themes to it. There's definitely things about sort of the ideologies between Charles and Apocalypse himself in this one, I think, that were meant to be. But more so than anything, it is just an off the fucking walls, crazy, 2 hours, I think it was 2 hours, action movie that has the X-Men in it. Or rather, you know what? No, that's not even the best description, because I would even say that other ones have felt more like that. Like, oh, this is just an action movie with these characters in it. The biggest thing, the best thing I can say about this is that possibly even for the first time, as much as I love X2 and First Class, this is possibly the first time that I really, really feel like I was watching an X-Men movie. Because it literally had like all of the classic characters at the forefront, using their powers in fucking awesome, off-the-wall, comic-y action scenes and stuff like that, and like all the cool powers and everything. It's like this is like in that sense, it's like definitive, like as an X-Men kind of experience, live action wise. Does that mean it's the greatest movie in the world? Does that mean it's the best of the X-Men movies that have come out? No, absolutely not. I will also say flat out, this is whoever the fuck said this is worse than X3 can fucking suck it, because I will, that more than anything, I will fight tooth and fucking nail. It's not worse than X3, because seeing X3 in theaters before, I was enjoying myself, and I mentioned on the other Kirblog that like I had a good time seeing that, but I knew like up front, this is a crappy movie. I was fully invested into Apocalypse, like beginning to end. It's funny, something I was thinking about the other day when I was just, gathering thoughts on what to say about this is, I feel almost as if Quicksilver like directed this movie, because just like okay, now we're in Cairo, now we're in New York, now we're back here, now we're in Europe, now we're in New York, now we're back in Cairo, it's like, okay, holy shit, guys. But like, I didn't necessarily feel like I was being jerked around. I felt like I was on a roller coaster. But it was still cool. Like, everything still felt like it had some kind of purpose and it was utilized and everything. The other thing, and this kind of goes along with just it feeling like it's an X-Men movie. I feel like this one wasn't afraid to get a little cheesy in terms of like its aesthetics. I mean, all of them are cheesy in terms of just like, what they are. But, this one was kind of funny in that, this is both a pro and a con. I felt like this one's one use of the F word compared to other ones, and typically they come from Wolverine, of course, but there's a scene with Magneto where, you think he's about to kill all the people working at the Polish factory or whatever he was working at, and then fucking Apocalypse and his horsemen show up, and it's this kind of funny, like, wide shot that just looks like it's something out of fucking Power Rangers. And no, I'm not saying that because of the Ivan Ooze joke or whatever, but it's just funny, and like it got a laugh out of the audience, and then Magneto's immediately like, who the fuck are you? But like the delivery on the who the fuck are you is like not delivered in a funny way that worked with it. It could have been like a really, really like hilarious moment, but it just didn't quite like connect as well as I was hoping it. But yeah, but either way, like the fact that like it had, I guess, like, oh, okay, we can be serious in this one moment where Magneto loses his fucking family right before his eyes, and then we can still be kind of funny with this other stuff and etc. Speaking of the Quicksilver bit earlier, the Quicksilver once again stealing the fucking show, and I didn't feel like it was just a repeat of the scene from Days of Future Past, because this was pretty cool with him literally like saving everybody, and then the gags and everything still felt pretty like to themselves, and everything was pretty funny. Obviously, in terms of the acting, Fassbender and Jennifer Lawrence and James McAvoy, all amazing, absolutely, and also by the end of the movie, I fully believed those characters were going to grow up to be the ones seen in X-Men 1 years later. Even Jackman for the whole Weapon X sequence, very quick as it was, totally worked, really cool. I wasn't even expecting it to delve also into that side of things at all. That was like, whoa, okay, and also we're dealing with this, even though there's the Apocalypse shit to deal with. But that whole bit with Wolverine was pretty awesome. What the hell is his name? I forget his name. The guy on Quicksilver was hilarious. The Horsemen were fine. I mean, definitely just like we're here and we're here and we're here. Just pick whatever random characters and use the ones. Okay, sure, I guess whatever. Alexandra Shipp, I think her name is, who played Storm. Really liked her. She was very, very likable. Really good performance on her. Wish we would have gotten a little bit more of her compared to the rest of them, because Angel was just whatever, and Psylocke was just whatever. If anything, they were just hey, here's some fun little cameos, and they'll make for some cool fight scenes, later, which they did. The big final showdown between everybody was super cool, and some awesome looking action sequences and stuff. Also Nick Holt on Beast, even though I didn't get to do quite as much as before, but still, played his role well. On the note of the earlier description of the this is a really funny X-Men Evolution episode, the quartet, for the most part, until Jubilee just got kind of fucking shafted, and I guess I'll watch the Jubilee cut whenever that comes out of this movie. But Jubilee, Scott, Jean, and Kurt, the four of them, I adored. I felt like I was really watching, and especially considering I think Bryan Singer had mentioned they would watch episodes of the cartoon in preparation and get inspiration for these movies and everything. That totally felt like something straight out of Evolution. Is the four of them hanging out and just doing shit and everything. One of my few gripes, Scott's actor, for the most part, I thought was fine. But whenever he had to do really pouring his all into shooting the beam and screaming or whatever, I didn't believe his screaming. It wasn't, because he was just kind of ah, and I'm okay, all right, well, not this visual effects, I guess, are saving this, but not your performance. But otherwise, he was fine. Jean was very endearing. I liked her actress a lot. I liked Jubilee for the 2 seconds of screen time that she had. I guess maybe they just probably felt, oh, well, we already have Scott to shoot lasers, and that's basically what Jubilee does. So, I'm all right, whatever. Kurt was adorable. I don't know that actor, but I totally was oh, this is the Evolution Kurt, the cute, funny, awkward, but lovable kind of version of him, and with still obviously the religious kind of stuff behind him, and that worked pretty well. Oscar Isaac on, especially now after I've seen him, work so well in Ex Machina and Star Wars. Just to see how much fucking range he has. He was a creepy fuck on Apocalypse. I mean, he was playing the villain pretty well. The moment that I was whoa, that was genuinely giving me a little bit of a chill was, because, and it was the scene with Charles, which on that note, I don't know whether it's necessarily a good or a bad thing to say, oh, I was totally able to tell where the movie was going. Once I heard the concept of, oh, Apocalypse gets all of his powers from, this version of Apocalypse gets all of his powers from the different mutants that he's inhabited the body of, and he carries over all of his powers to the next, which I thought was a very, very cool idea. I felt that was a lot more sensible logic to, his abilities, other than just, he controls matter, and he has every fucking superpower ever, so there. But I basically figured out the twist of, oh, he's gonna want to get Charles, and it's gonna be nuts, holy shit. And, so I figured there was going to be that. But yeah, that scene where he's like, finally, like, I'll be everywhere. I'll be everyone. I was like, okay, all right, little fucking freaked out now. That was a great moment. It was just his performance in and of itself. Yeah, the Horsemen were fine. I mean, I don't know. I guess, like, excuse me, on a general note, I didn't necessarily feel like absolutely every single character had to have, like, some major in-depth point of development or whatever. Like, the central characters had their arc and everything, and it worked just fine. And it was more so just like a giant obstacle for all of them to overcome and work together on and everything, which I love. And kind of seeing the different ideologies clash and everything. But, that just being like the backdrop for the cool action sequences and just the roller coaster of just all this crazy cool shit, everything. I don't know, just like something, again, I felt like kind of embarrassed. I was like, am I just like kind of dumb for thinking that this is a cool movie or like being invested into this? Like is it really like worth the investment in the first place? I don't know. And maybe, who knows? Maybe in a long time from now, I very well could fucking think differently of it. But I don't know. Just offhandedly watching it, I really, really enjoyed like the whole ride of it. Just like even if you could even just dumb it down to, it was a series of like badass moments all kind of strung together with like, somewhat of a plot, not that strong of a moral, not that strong of an overarching, point of development for most of the main characters, whatever, too many. It's definitely, it has a billion characters, but I don't know. I also feel like an X-Men movie can still work with that. So I don't feel like that was necessarily like the worst thing in the world. And I'm not upset that not every single character got a major developmental story arc or whatever. So I don't know. Maybe I am a little dumb for that. I don't know. I certainly wouldn't say it's the best X-Men movie ever made, or even like that great of a superhero movie, or even that great of a movie. But I would absolutely not say it's worse than, the worst of the X-Men movies that we've had by any stretch of the fucking imagination. I will defend that it's I can say now, as we've gotten this trilogy, there's going to be more. Obviously, they're going to do the 90s one next, but whatever that ends up being. But these three in a row of First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse, I've all thoroughly enjoyed. All for different reasons, all to different degrees. But overall, like this series of X-Men, now I can say I like overall more so than the original trilogy that we had before. Even though X2 is fantastic and everything, and I still do enjoy it a lot. Just overall, these last three that we've had over the last few years have been the best to me. And again, this one, I think what this one had the most going for it is just I felt like I was getting a real experience with the X-Men characters, and especially with the ending point where, hey, here we go, here's this team, it's these characters all together, and they're the fucking X-Men. Like that is plenty for me. On a little minor side note, as I'm wrapping this up, if the new Power Rangers movie is like around this, I'm okay with that, because I'm not expecting that to be amazing. I'm interested in it, but if it's even just like this good, I can fucking live with that. I'll put that on record now. But maybe that's just because like having low expectations for that. Who knows? Whatever. But either way, yeah. So that's it. Thanks everybody for hopefully listening to and enjoying Mayorville. Again, I'm probably not going to do this next year because I just wouldn't have enough topics to cover a full month. But this was a lot of fun to do. Very thankful. I want to give shout-outs to Xander, Drake, Mike, Steve, Matt, and Pete, and Ben, who all joined me for all the various topics with guests and everything. I hope it was fun. I'm going to get back very soon to doing just normal Kirblog topics. I have a bunch of stuff that I have to catch up on. I have the new cartoon coming out very soon, and et cetera. But yeah, thanks for bearing with me. I hope you liked this, and that's going to wrap us up. So, in the comments below, if you have seen X-Men Apocalypse, as I'm presuming you have if you're listening to this, let me know your thoughts. Do you agree? Am I nuts? I don't know. Were there parts of it that you liked? Were there performances that you enjoyed? Were there moments or anything like that were cool? Did you genuinely just think it was a dumb movie? Totally willing to hear other opinions on it and everything. Had a lot of discussion with everybody who I went to go see it with and everything. But I'm still curious to hear what you think. So leave comments about that. And if you have future, general, other, whatever, random Kirblog topics to suggest for that, leave a comment on that too. And I'll be getting back to doing more of those very, very soon. So That's it. Thanks again, and I'll see you all soon as I'm recovered from. Oh, and also thanks everybody too. Who came out and saw me at Fanime. You're all wonderful, and I'm glad I got to talk to you all, and thanks for coming to the panel and everything, and for ordering sketches from the booth and everything. You're all fantastic, and hopefully I'll be back next year, and stuff, and junk and stuff, and that's it. Bye.